As you can see, I didn't even bother wearing my hat this time. If you didn't see last week's where we did Clockwork Orange, for the first like 2 seconds I had a hat on. I was like, wait, why am I doing this? Took it off because last week it was 100 degrees outside. This week, no, it's better. It's 92. That's why I intentionally put the same shirt on. Because I wasn't wearing this the rest of the day until we came out here where I was like, I'll put the same shirt on to see if you can still see this. Watch last week's video where, yeah, put it in like super fast motion where you just see the sweat pool up by the end of it that I didn't notice until the end of the video. I got back, you took off last week after we got done doing the video. I went back upstairs and Laura was in there. I walk in the room and again, I look like the end of that video. I'm like drenched and I got all that on my shirt. Laura takes one look at me and just goes, ew! Which I should be used to by now whenever I walk into a room that she's in. She's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, no, it was really hot out there. She's like, wait, and you were in my car for an hour? You and Jerrid? There's gonna be caked on sweat on the seats. I'm gonna go in there and sit down and it'll be like, it's really gonna smell in there. I'm like, no, by the time you go to work on Monday, it'll be fine, which I'm assuming it was. She didn't say anything when Monday came around.
It'll be fine. Just crack some windows. Let the seats air out. You know, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
So maybe that same thing will happen again because I did bring my water with me again.
And I got one now
too. To get some too. we gotta ration it though, dude. Ration. The trick is to take tiny little bites.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Brad Jones with Jerrid Foils, and where can we find you over on Twitch?
Twitch.tv/Jerrid Foils.
And today we are going to be reviewing Kung Pao Enter the Fist, because like all of these are, it's one movie we've both either seen or heard of, and two that we have neither seen nor heard of. So we got Kung Pao, which is the main one, of course. Then we've got the kind of superhero-ish, superpower thriller, Code 8 from Canada, and the, I don't even know what genre to call this one, Zerophilia is the third one that we're going to be doing. So stay tuned after the commercial break, and we'll be back with Kung Pao.
We will return to NBC Monday night at the movies following these messages.
I'll take a pound of nuts.
That's a lot of nuts! That'll be $4, baby! You want fries with that? He just left! With nuts!
Okay, before we started our intro, you said, like, maybe that 8-degree difference won't be so bad. And then we only talked for a couple of minutes on the intro. After that couple of minutes, we're like, oh, thank God, the air. Man, did we screw ourselves when we made the format for this show. All right, so we're talking about Steve Oedekerk's Kung Pao Enter the Fist, and we'd both seen this movie before. In my case, more than once. I'm assuming more than once. I didn't see this in theaters.
Really? No, I don't think I did either.
It wasn't out very long.
Yeah.
At least in Springfield, it wasn't out for very long. But I did see it when it hit video, because pretty quickly it seemed like it was gaining a cult audience.
Yeah.
Was I working at the video store? I might have been working at the video store when it came out, but pretty quick there was some of our friends who had seen it and were really, really talking it up. Mm-hmm. Like they would a lot of stoner comedies at the time. So of course they were talking this one up.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and I've seen it more than once since then, because I certainly know a lot of people who are in love with the movie. And there's a lot to respect about it. It's impressive how it's put together.
It is.
You can tell his love for this genre. You can tell he really digs old kung fu movies.
Yeah.
From the voices to all of the flips and the crazy stuff like punching a hole in the guy's stomach.
Yeah.
And also that him inserting himself into this Jimmy Wang Yu movie, sometimes it's pretty seamless.
Yeah.
There's times you can tell where
Right.
like the old footage is grainy, but his not quite so much.
Uh-huh.
Then other parts it really work. Like it seems legit.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't know he was spliced into some of these parts, or even some of the guys standing in the background, they go so far as to add shadows to the guy with the boombox standing behind some of the characters. And that looks good.
Yeah.
There's some very questionable CGI in this film.
Oh, God, yes.
From the cow to
the
baby. But then there is some funny stuff with the baby.
Yeah.
When it's the dummy baby that's running down the hill.
Yeah.
Or that's rolling down the hill. The woman picks it up and it rolls again. There is some legit funny stuff in this movie. It's quotable.
Absolutely.
I don't love this movie.
I do.
I know you do. This is the opposite of last week, where I'm like, where we were talking about Clockwork Orange, and with this one, I'm like, it's okay. I don't love it. And then you're going to be the one who's like, A+, my favorite movie.
Okay, here's the thing. Objectively, I can't give it an A+, because, you know, as if we're staying consistent on like our standards and practices and whatnot, this is not A+.
Standards and practices.
Yeah, if we're not, you know, this is not A+ material.
No.
This is just, it's just a very endearing movie. This is just a very fun movie that's very quotable.
It is that.
Yeah.
There are still some quotes from it that not only do I remember, I will also quote over the years, especially That's a Lot of Nuts.
That's a lot of nuts.
That is it gets me every time. It's funny. The movie does have a lot of moments where I'll still get a good laugh out of it.
Yeah.
Even parts that in a lesser comedy wouldn't work. This movie's got a fart joke that is really funny. This movie's got a nut shot that's very funny.
Yeah.
It's got dog reactions that are funny.
Yeah.
Like from the delayed dubbing of the dog, and even, I mean, Rob and I will do this a lot, where we'll talk about dog reaction shots and do the this does that. It has the voice going as the dog looks, and it works.
Yeah.
But it's not, the movie's not consistent. There are parts that really work, and there's a lot that not only don't, but go on a while. I didn't see this in the theater because I didn't think it looked that good, because the main thing they were showing in all of the trailers for it was the cow scene, which is not the best part of this movie.
No, I agree with you there. I agree with you there.
And so when I would see the cow stuff on the trailer, I'm like, I'm not watching that. That looks dumb. And
let's face it, this movie by and large is dumb,
oh yeah,
but it's
certainly.
fun. But it's fun.
That was a part that it is such an out of nowhere sequence because it was made not that long after The Matrix.
Right.
You could take that scene out and lose nothing about this movie. It is just there. But that's the case for a lot of sequences in this, and I can understand why they didn't cut it out, because this movie's short. Like, if you even take out the credits, it's like a 75 minute movie.
Yeah.
And there's also, I mean, this is a genre where other movies have done it before, and there's other movies that do this similar kind of thing that I like, that I think are more consistent than this, and I like better.
Yeah.
Like Steve Martin's Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, where he inserts himself in a lot of film noir movies. Or Woody Allen's What's Up, Tiger Lily, where he dubs over a spy movie. But this is better than like Corona Zombies or something like that dubbed over Hell of the Living Dead.
Oh God,
like, but I don't think this is the best of that genre, but it's far from being the worst. And Steve Oedekerk, when he's the lead in this, he does have the mannerisms and everything down for what he's parodying.
Yeah.
Even like the Godfrey Ho Splice movies. Now this is certainly a comedy, whereas Godfrey Ho inserting actors into existing footage wasn't meant to be a comedy.
Yeah.
It was just because they were just kind of cheap to put out.
Sure.
But the way that Steve Oedekerk does his facial reactions and everything in this is kind of similar to like a Pierre Kirby or one of the actors that would be spliced into a Godfrey Ho film.
Yeah.
That was really, really working.
Yeah, for
me.
sure.
You don't look so tough to me. Don't judge a book by its cover.
You know, you said that there were times where it seemed like the new footage matched the graininess of the old footage. And I just wonder if perhaps, because the thing is, he's not in every shot.
Yeah.
He just used the existing footage.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I was wondering if like maybe
No, there's
you
just
weren't mistaken.
No, because there's some shots where he'll be standing there and he's blue screened into the footage, and you can kind of tell, especially if you know that's the case. Then there's other shots where when he's putting his hand around the Ling's face, where it looks good.
Yeah.
And even the guy, like I mentioned this earlier, the guy on the boombox who's standing in the background, really, you can tell a lot of effort and love was put into the editing and the splicing of the movie.
Totally.
But what always kept me from loving this movie is that, there are standout moments in it that are funny, and it's a likable movie. But the jokes that don't work aggressively don't work.
Like give me an example of a joke that you didn't like, because I gotta be honest, back in the day, this movie used to just bust me up.
So there are a lot of times in this movie where it feels like they couldn't really come up with a better joke for someone to say, so they just have the characters make noises.
No, you're right.
And that happens a lot. It happens a lot. Sometimes the voices can be a little grating.
Sure.
And I know that that's the joke.
Sure.
I know that it's like the voices are supposed to sound kind of cartoonish and over the top.
Yeah.
And there is funny stuff they do with some of the voices. The guy with the country accent.
Yeah.
That's funny. And
Chosen one.
Yeah. I wish there was more of that, because all the times that Ling does the wee wee it's nails on a chalkboard, dude.
It is, but what I love about that was the tie-in with her father. I'm Ling's father. Wee wee wee.
But it kept happening.
Yeah.
And I didn't even care that much for it the first time she did it.
Right.
But they keep doing
exactly.
it.
No, I'm with you.
It doesn't grow from that. It just keeps happening. And it's one of those jokes where if you already don't like it, that joke's not going to get better as it goes along.
Sure.
For me, it doesn't. And it's kind of obnoxious.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it going, you could probably put in some better lines here.
Totally.
That are lines.
Yeah, no.
And not just noises. And there are jokes that are just random, that are lines that aren't pertaining to anything, that aren't moving anything forward, really. It's just kind of saying some random nonsensical lines.
Sure.
And sometimes that can work. Other times it can just feel like what it is.
Yeah.
We're sticking a really random line in there.
Sure.
And that makes me like something like What's Up, Tiger Lily better, because there were far out lines in that movie, but it was all part of like a story that this dub was telling, and kind of consistent at least, as opposed to this where they'll just have them make weird noises, or they'll be singing something for no reason, really. Like
the ventriloquists.
Yeah.
The ventriloquists were, objectively, like, unnecessary. Like they weren't even talking. They were just carrying items, and he's just like singing a song. We are ventriloquists.
Yeah. Because of that, I can tell, like, how much my stoner friends from Springfield liked it.
Yo.
I wasn't even talking about you. Like, just some people I used to hang out with at the video store back in the day. Not that I'm about, because believe me, I was getting high back then too. Like, guys, I got it. We're gonna watch a triple feature, man. Kung Pao, Strange Wilderness, and Super Troopers.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, you say that, but we're gonna be out a whole paycheck for the amount of weed we're gonna have to buy for that. And the Taco Bell, because yeah, this movie knows who its audience is.
Yeah.
It starts singing about Taco Bell in the film, and it puts Taco Bell, a bag of Taco Bell on the table.
But that's what's so great was that, like, okay, and so this is another thing I love about this movie is that it just unapologetically takes a sledgehammer to that fourth wall. Like,
it does.
Like, just, product placement with Taco Bell,
I do like when it cut to the intermission, which is hilarious because this movie is like barely full length, and him saying like he's got good lines in the movie. Like when the lines work, they really work. One of them is him because he's the chosen one, as they say. One of them is him saying,
"I've chosen the large tub."
Yeah, that was funny. That was good. And even though I'm not in love with this film, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I think that if they did continue to make more, it really could have expanded on what they had here.
They were teasing. I mean, they were implying there was going to be a sequel, but we never got one.
He's always said that he's wanted to make another one, but he just couldn't. But he said he's wanted to, and I think he was even teasing doing the same type of thing with like another genre too. But I forget what. Because I do like it. He made this movie. He directed that. Do you remember that movie? Was it Nothing to Lose? The buddy movie with Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence, where Tim Robbins thinks he's caught his wife cheating on him. So he gets carjacked by Martin Lawrence, but like has this breakdown, and it's kind of this road movie where then there's thieves who are after them. One of them's John C. McGinley. I liked that. He directed that. He did the second Ace Ventura movie.
Oh, okay. Now that one I know I saw. The other one, gosh, I guess not. I guess I didn't see it.
I don't know how well Nothing to Lose
Lawrence?
did, but I remember liking it. I saw it in the theater. He did that. I've never seen this, but I think the last thing he directed was that Barnyard animated movie, which I never saw. I guess he likes his cow humor. Like, between the cow in this movie, like, wait a minute, I could do a whole movie of this.
And so he did.
So that might be all I have in my notes for it. Do you have anything else about the movie?
Just like I said, very quotable lines. I can. My son is now 22, but whenever he was a kid, we used to always quote like Master Paint or Betty's
Betty
swinging the chain scene, like he'd be on the waterfall. That scene on the waterfall, we would quote that all the time. And he was a kid. He loved it. It obviously stirs up a lot of nostalgia,
sure,
especially nowadays. And but it's like you said, it's not without its flaws. So I think that's why I'm going to give it a solid B+.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to be in the A category.
Yeah. A solid B+.
I was going back and forth between a C+ and a B-, but I gotta give it an edge to the fact that for all of the flaws that this movie has, for the jokes that just don't land for me, and those jokes just keep going through it and are repeated, even stuff like playing Can't Touch This and stuff in the movie, I gotta give it points for the fact that there are still things about it that I will still quote.
Yeah.
So I gotta give it respect for that. And even from a filmmaking point of view, from editing and everything, even though there's effects that don't work, the CGI and all that, the effects that do work are impressive.
Sure.
I will go ahead and give it the B-.
B minus.
Yeah, I will. I'll give it that. I would like to see it. I would watch another one.
Yeah.
I would. And I would hope it'd be better than that second Super Troopers movie.
Oh, God, yes.
Okay, am I... the sweat?
Well,
there's a little bit.
Up by your chin.
That might
Up by your collar.
That might...
No, I think that's
hope
new.
that's not water. Is that new? Okay.
I think that's new.
Well, we will have to add to this when we come back, where we'll be reviewing Code 8. So stick around.
Turn after these messages.
Mary, why is this frozen? This can't keep happening.
Don't talk to my mom that way.
Connor, hey.
You okay?
Yeah. I'm talking to Mommy. You should go wait in the car.
You should shut the fuck up.
Connor, stop it. Stop it.
You need to leave.
Okay, first of all, I am so sorry. In the Kung Pao portion, let me give a very special thank you for that request to Jacob Matthew Crawford, who's been one of our biggest supporters throughout many years, and thank you so much for that request. He's got some other good requests.
I was gonna say, Jacob has good taste.
Yeah, and so one of his, I believe it's one of his that we'll be doing next time as well. But
fun.
this next one, Code 8, this is for Jeffrey Pontiac Spur. Again, thank you so much for this request, and all the ones you've done in the past too. And these are Patreon requests, because that's what Midnight Screenings is now, is for you guys to request on Patreon stuff for us to review. And if you want to do that, you got to become a top tier contributor over on our Patreon. Just click on the link in the description or in the comments, and that'll take you to the blog post over on Patreon, where in the comments you can make your choice. Okay, so here is one that I hadn't heard of until it got requested.
Same.
This is a movie called Code 8. It's not that old. It's from like 2019. It's a Canadian film, kind of a, would you call it sci-fi action? Or
Sure.
fantasy action, kind of?
Sci-fi action, I guess.
It's in this universe where I guess it's maybe futuristic, sort of, like where there are people with superpowers, basically.
Yep.
But it's one of those worlds where the people with superpowers are, it's basically treated like a race in this, or an allegory for like poverty, or blue collar workers even. Mm-hmm. And I will say this about that in terms of like this genre of superhero type things, it's better than like the last 3 X-Men movies I saw. It's better than New Mutants. It's better than Apocalypse. It's better than Dark Phoenix. Yeah, I can see why. I guess this movie had a very limited release, but did do fairly well on streaming, to the point to where I think Netflix like acquired rights to make a sequel.
Really?
Yeah, because when this did go on Netflix, I think it did fairly well. There was even talks of there being like a series, and I can see that. I can see how expanding on this world that they kind of introduced us to in this movie should lend itself to a sequel or even a series. It doesn't surprise me that this did well on streaming, because that's very much what it feels like. To me, it felt like something you would see on Netflix that would be like a Netflix original movie. Maybe I'm thinking about that because it's kind of a better version of Bright, the Will Smith movie.
Oh, God.
Only this has to do with superpowers.
Don't remind me of Bright.
Characters.
Bright, oh my God.
That's what this review is. Let's list all the movies that are kind of like Code 8, but Code 8 is a little bit better than. I thought that this movie was consistently okay. Like, it's a pretty, I like the fact that it's a pretty street level movie. You have all of these characters with these major powers, whether they can use like electrical powers or make things freeze or some other things, but it's this pretty small-scaled story where it's about a guy whose mother is dying of a terminal illness, and she's broke, he's broke, so he has to join this gang to steal a lot of money so he can have enough funds so they can live, and also hopefully his mom can get better, and then he gets deeper and deeper into this gang. Sure. It's kind of like you're watching like a cops and crime movie, like 999, you know, Ambulance, if like a couple of them were superheroes as they're racing through the city after trying to rob a bank.
No, I'm with you. Here's the thing, though. I gotta kind of disagree. I did not like this.
I could tell. Because I could tell you didn't like it, because the more you don't like something, the more nothing will win you over about it, to the point where you'll be sitting there, it'll be the smallest thing in the world, and you'll be sitting there like, oh, he looked left when crossing the street, but not right. What an idiot. I know you didn't say that. I'm exaggerating, but I can so tell when you don't like something.
Because here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. I wasn't a fan of the writing. A lot of the dialogue seemed very, it just seemed very dumb. To the point where even, you know, they called the people with superpowers powers.
Did they?
Yeah, yeah. They're like, hey, you're a power, and it's like,
I guess you were paying more attention than me, which is funny because I liked it better.
Well, and I think that's why I didn't like it, because
you were paying more attention.
I was paying attention.
If you were paying attention, you'd hate this shit. You were just sitting there like going one ear out the other, so you're like, it's fine. It didn't give me brain cancer as it passed through my head.
Which stick a pin in that. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But like there was also honestly, I did not like the main character. I did not think he was very likable. There was a little bit of a redemption toward the end.
Yeah.
But other than that, by and large, it was just like, dude, this guy is an asshole.
Here's my thing with it. This movie is, I thought it was through and through just kind of all right in terms of if you're looking for something to stream. This is serviceable for that because it fits along with a lot of movies like this that that Netflix puts out. I was waiting for there to be a moment where it would get way better. Yeah. It's like this movie that was never bad to me. Not anything that I was really disliking. A lot of it I thought was well made. I kind of like the world that they created here to a point.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for there to be some kind of wow moment. Something that would really kick it into the area of it's better than average or it's really damn good.
Sure.
And that didn't really happen.
No.
But it didn't suck for me, which I know that is like a backhanded compliment and a half. But the characters in it, I didn't think that the acting was bad. I did enjoy a lot of their performances, especially when they got to show some tears or there is a lot of rage in this movie, and they do good with that, and in a lot of moments where they're sad. But the actors could only do so much because the characters on the page, you're right, they're kind of bland.
Yeah.
There is on the page, there's nothing that really stands out about a lot of them. And there was only so much that some of these actors could do with that. I didn't think they did a bad job. Oh, you know, I did really like Sung Kang.
Oh yeah,
he's always great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Although the one thing I will complain about his role is that he and the other he was the cop.
Yeah.
And in there, he and his partner were blatantly good cop, bad cop.
Sure.
Like, you know, and it was just kind of like, yeah.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it didn't bother me that much, but mainly because I like him.
Yeah.
He is very charismatic.
Totally.
He has a natural likability where he can play a part like this and he makes it stand out.
Yeah.
The movie needed more of him.
Agreed.
Because if there was anyone in the movie who was really making me pay attention, that guy is very underrated.
Agreed.
So, but also I did have questions about this world, like how they are, they're certainly second-class citizens.
Sure.
And they're harassed a lot.
Yep.
And there's, you know, other superhero movies that kind of write that a little bit better than this, in that others can kind of you buy it a little more in others, whereas here, they would be getting like kind of harassed on the street, and I'd be like, why are you doing this to somebody who at the snap of a finger can make you can light you on fire?
Well, and so I think that's the thing too, is that like the X-Men is a prime example of what you're talking about. Like there would actually be like lynch mobs on mutants on the X-Men, and you know, and those mobs would just take their chances. Whereas this one, you're right. And this is another complaint I had about this is it feels like that everybody, all the powers were all elemental based. So you had the fire guy, you had the electric guy, you had the.
I think they mentioned that in the movie.
Really?
Like them, like the elements and things like that.
Yeah, I was almost waiting for them to combine their powers and summon Captain Planet.
That'd be awesome. Greedy Captain Planet, dude.
And then, and I kind of read this in the Wikipedia before it showed up in the movie, which I'm glad I now had context to it. Everybody was also kinetic. Like telekinetic, except it was their element. It was elemental based.
Sure.
So you had like the electrical kinetic or the fire kinetic and all this other stuff. So that's why they were able to like wave their hand and make things float and stuff. And it was just like I just find that dumb.
I was never really thinking the movie was dumb. I was watching it thinking it was a good start. I could see how you could expand on this in a sequel or in a series, fix a lot of the flaws of this, and really make something that works better. Because I do respect how they put this together on a pretty modest budget. There wasn't a lot of parts where I was taken out of it by the effects or anything. Not that they all look believable necessarily, but they did really well with the limited budget that they had. They kind of knew what effects they could sort of get away with versus what they couldn't, to where it would look really bad.
Sure.
I will give it that. As far as a grade, this was another one where I was veering back and forth between a B- and a C+. And when we were watching them, when we were watching Kung Pao, I was leaning more towards a C+. Then when we were talking about it, I go, you know, I do remember a lot about this movie to the point to where I quote it a lot, so I bumped it up to a B-. This, when we were watching it, this is the opposite. I was leaning towards a B- when we were watching it, but now I'm like, I do respect a lot about it. I do. But I don't think there will be a lot of it that I remember.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be something that's going to really stick with me. Yeah. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a lot better than that. In terms of stuff that I think is kind of mediocre, I think this is a lot better than Tiger House that we watched last week. I think that this has way more ideas, and it is trying to do something ambitious on a modest budget. So I'll give it a C+, but it's a respectable C+. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was just kind of okay.
Well, okay, so after I also, like I said, I kind of checked out of this movie, and so I was like on Wikipedia doing some research, and I found out that the brothers that were in this movie
Arrow,
and produced
Stephen
this
Amell,
movie,
Arrow.
you know, they're very much based in the CW. And this movie definitely belongs on the CW. It was CW grade to me.
I haven't seen CW in a while, but this felt like a Netflix movie to me.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I feel like I can give Netflix a bit more credit than CW. Because I mean, you see things like Stranger Things, and I mean, I feel like even Netflix's worst is still.
No, this movie is better than Hubie Halloween.
Oh, I've never seen Hubie Halloween.
I mean, there are people who like that movie. This movie's better than Bright. That was a Netflix movie.
But not by much. I mean, it's only a step up from Bright, I feel like.
I am also guessing, in fairness, I've not seen this movie, I could be wrong, but from what I've heard, it sounds like this movie is way better than that Melissa McCarthy superhero comedy movie that came out like a year or so. Was it Thunder Force or something like that?
I hadn't seen that one either. Gosh, maybe we'll have to
have a bad Netflix day.
So, and I think that's why during the movie I made the joke of, is there a grade for CW? Like can we give it a
give it a CW?
Give it a CW because that's what it looks like. So I gotta go with a D.
A D.
A D.
Yeah.
I was not digging this movie. Mm-hmm. No. Sorry, man.
Well, maybe the sequel will be better for you.
Just like Bright, I hope this doesn't get a sequel.
What did you give Kung Pao? A B+? You gave it a B+, right? Yeah. That is so funny. You gave that a higher grade than A Clockwork Orange. No, I get it, dude. Like, there's one of my favorite comedies of all time is this Shenanigan-Z.
Didn't I give
you gave Clockwork Orange a B?
Oh, okay.
One of my favorite comedies of all time is this Shenanigan-Z movie from the 80s called Screwballs, where the whole plot is just about these guys who are trying to see a girl naked, and her name is Purity Bush, and I would give that movie a higher grade than a lot of movies that have won Best Picture at the Oscars. So I get it. All right, we have got to turn the air on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And we will be back with a review for Zerophilia after this.
We'll return after these messages.
Whoa.
Dude. Yeah, when we hit the thing on, they were like, all right, we ready to do this? We ready to do this?
I start wiping the sweat, just like try to make myself look a little more refreshed.
We're getting ready to bungee jump or skydive. Just to sit in a hot car and talk about movies. Oh my God, look at me. Yeah, Laura's about to go, ew! And I walk back in here again. Okay, so who recommended this to us? James Moyner. All right, recommended Zerophilia. Thanks. This is a movie from 2005 that is about a young guy who loses his virginity and finds out he's a zerophile or has zerophilia or something, to where he can then change from man to woman and vice versa. I was pretty quickly, I was kind of discovering what the quality of the movie would be. Two things. One, the opening that looks like a low-budget animated version of the sperm opening credits from Look Who's Talking, only if it was done by the people who did Little Cars.
I was on it. I saw that too. I was like, wait, is that a tadpole?
Get around, get around.
I was like, is that a tadpole, or are they trying to do the sperm thing from Look Who's Talking? But
it was a tadpole.
It was a tadpole.
And the poster for it, which was the dude standing there shirtless with a zipper right there that says, "You don't know what's behind his jeans." Get it? Jeans. Oh my God. I was looking at that going, this looks like a porn. That works. The movie's shot like one. This movie is one talking animal away from looking like a David Dakota movie. It's like Code 8. It's another superhero origin story. Plot twist, man.
I definitely made a reference to Incredible Turbo Teen, because I'm that old.
I mean, it was reminding me of some other thing. I mean, it kind of starts out almost like it could have been like a 60s monster movie, like I Was a Teenage Werewolf or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I would like this movie better if it was a 60s drive-in movie, because he has sex and then instantly is like, wait, where did all of my chest hair go? Hang on, my penis is way smaller.
Why do I have boobs?
And then when he does turn into a woman, I like that he already has makeup on, which is like something you kind of got to expect in something like this. Like, I love how in Manimal, when he turns into an animal, then turns back into a human, he has his clothes back. So some things I guess you kind of just got to accept in this genre of movie. I thought that there were some effects that didn't look that bad.
No.
Like, when he, especially considering the very small budget for the movie.
Yeah.
When he goes running out of the restaurant and he's got boobs.
Yeah.
That honestly looked pretty good.
Yeah.
It did. And even some of the morphing effects that they did.
Absolutely.
I could tell how they were done, but it didn't look bad.
No. And especially, like I said, coming from a student film effort, I think there's some raw talent put here.
There was also, and because, like, we've seen a lot of indie movies and we've worked on some too. Mm-hmm. There were little things I noticed too, like when they were in the convenience store and the whole candy aisle had like either the candy turned around or the tape on some of the names or some of the letters whited out.
Yeah.
So it was like, ooh, Tarburst. An O-Hen bar.
O-Hen bar.
But if I'm gonna watch something like this, I don't know, I would just kind of watch a body swap comedy from the 80s, or even in terms of a transformation movie. I'm like, I'd kind of just rather watch a 60s drive-in movie. Yeah. Whereas this, it does get to a point where it is kind of treating its subject matter relatively seriously, as opposed to just kind of being shenanigansy throughout.
Yeah, I'm with you. It is marketing itself as a comedy, and I really didn't see that. It wasn't really all that funny. That being said, it also wasn't bad. I didn't. Okay, reveal time. I dug this.
You like this movie?
I dug this movie.
Yeah.
I dug this movie. I dug it, as far as comedies go, no, this wasn't a comedy.
It starts out that way.
A little bit, but only in the sense of like, you got this dude who's just a teenager, and so as a teenager, I think he's gonna do like goofy shit, that teenagers typically do. I didn't really see this as like a rip-roaringly funny.
No, because I mean, it is treating it more seriously than you would expect a movie like this to do so.
Sure.
And even though this movie is like, it's mid-2000s, it's about 17 years old, it's not like you are watching an 80s movie where that happens, so the first thing he does is goes and hangs out in the girl's shower room. It doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'd almost rather watch one of those because it'd at least be more entertaining.
Totally.
I didn't think this movie was that entertaining.
And so I think that's what I'm saying is that if it wants to be a comedy,
it does get a little 80s it does get a little 80s where he turns into a girl and almost rapes that guy at one point. The guy who's he turned out to be gay later on, and the guy's like, no, I'm gay, I don't want to, and she's like, I don't care. And I'm like,
no, I'm with you there. I was
it almost becomes an 80s movie.
I was like, yo, calm down. Easy.
We're going to do it anyway.
Consent is still important.
I hate saying this, but it's not. It's just that it wasn't a very well-made movie, and I know that there's only so much they could do, but it wasn't just sitting there and kind of watching it. It wasn't a very engaging sit. I feel like I could watch some other things that, at the least, are presented a lot better.
Yeah.
So that kind of made this feel a little long. The one thing about it that I thought did elevate it was Gina Bellman when she shows up as the doctor, because I like her a lot.
Yeah.
She did elevate a lot of this material. She was good in this. And when she shows up, her function in the movie is to be that person who explains everything that is going on.
Right.
Like,
but I do like the fact that her character is a doctor, and so therefore that's kind of a tie-in.
But I mean she is there to, if you got any questions, she'll show up and explain everything. But when she first shows up, she shows up horny as hell to walk in there and be like, oh, let me get a sample of your hair.
Yeah.
And I'm watching going, did Jane from Coupling just walk into this movie? Like, I mean, cool. That's awesome. And she's good. She is really good in this.
Yeah, but then whenever she reveals that she's a doctor, turns out that a hair sample, was for DNA.
But she's still pretty horny throughout a lot of this movie. And she's, if you've seen her on Coupling, she's very good at playing that kind of character. That was the funniest part of this, I thought, was your reaction to that one scene where the dude's love interest, all of a sudden she goes off into the shower.
Yeah.
And it's like a 2-minute scene where suddenly...
No previous context, mind you. No previous context. She just goes and takes a shower.
She just goes, and it's like all up on here, just like suddenly... It's a softcore porn out of nowhere. And Jerrid's sitting there going, this just got gratuitous. I'm like, whatever, Grandma. I'm now paying attention to this movie. And it keeps going. And then there's like a big space. And Jerrid then goes like, I mean, seriously.
Which I'm glad I hung in there, because the payoff at the end of that scene,
there was a reason for it.
That was the aha moment. And I think that's where this movie sold me, because I thought it was this was an allegory about, I felt it was an allegory about transgenderism.
Sure.
And there's this whole dynamic with being trans and like straight, gay, and all this other stuff. And this movie kind of touches on all of that, and so I think for that I dug it.
Yeah,
I dug it. I was like, all right, movie. You got some flaws, and you got some inexperienced people behind you, but those inexperienced people, like I said, they've got some raw talent. I think
with a bigger budget, they could probably do something a little bit better.
Exactly.
Because that twist that was in the scene we were talking about, I didn't see it coming. I didn't.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. The movie's got a twist that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
But I didn't think the movie was that entertaining. I don't know. I hate saying this, but it's one of those where the budget did kind of work against it. It was hard for me to get really engaged with it, because the characters weren't good enough to make me look past that. The humor wasn't good enough to make me look past that. And I don't know, I couldn't get into the movie. I didn't hate it, but it was kind of different than I thought it would be. There was just a lot of other things that I would just rather watch than this. Whether it's like a drive-in movie or Paul Schrader's Cat People or something like that. This would just not...
You would rather watch Cat People over
the
this?
Paul Schrader movie? Have you seen it?
Yeah, we watched it. We watched it. Didn't we watch that for that? This is the one about the people who turn into cats, or no. What's the one about the people that gave birth to kittens?
Not that movie.
Oh, okay.
No, not Kitty Mamas.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Got my cat movies mixed up.
I'm so glad I am so glad you got it confused, because I'm like, yeah, I would rather watch Cat People than this.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not watching Taxi Driver. What's that Jimmy Fallon Queen Latifah shit? Best movie ever, my ass.
Oh my god, that's great.
So I had a feeling you liked this movie better than me because you weren't scoffing during it.
Yeah. I guess I need to work on my poker face, huh?
You had a bad poker face. What's your grade for this?
You know something, so like I said, it's not without its flaws. You know, you've got some valid complaints about it, but I do think it's got heart, and I do think that it should be more accurately marketed instead of trying to sell it as a comedy. It's not a comedy. It's.
I mean, I thought it started out as one. I kind of like, honestly, Big in that regard, where Big I thought was a way better movie than this.
Yeah.
But kind of like
absolutely.
Big in that regard, where that movie did get a lot more serious as it went along.
True.
I don't think this movie got as dark as that movie.
True.
But it did. But both of them do get a little more dramatic as they go along.
Yeah. And I guess, yeah. Okay. Good comparison. I guess when it comes to comedies, I expect more laughs.
I know. That's why I didn't like this movie.
I expect Kung Pao.
I wanted him to punch a cow.
So yeah, no. So I think because of that, I'll give it a B minus.
Sure.
I'll give it a B minus. I definitely like this more than Code 8.
I liked Code 8 better.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Code 8, I thought it was a little easier to get through than this. God. I realize the restraints with this movie's budget, but there is still some better stuff that could have been done with the camera work. But it's not...
Really? Okay, go on.
Because, I mean, I've seen movies that have a budget equivalent to this that still do some more... that are shot more original than this is. This is shot pretty basic.
Sure.
And I couldn't... I don't know. There wasn't enough about it that was making it all work for me to make some flaws work because other things are elevating it. Gina Bellman was good. The movie was trying. I gave a D+ to something reason. Oh, to that Bollywood movie I saw last week. I gave that movie a D+. Is this movie better? I don't know. I'll give it about the same. I'll give it a D+. I really couldn't get into this movie. Nothing about it was really working for me. The characters weren't. Filmmaking wasn't. The musical score and the song choices certainly weren't. But it's better than like a bad YA movie. I'll give it that.
Yeah. Okay, before we go, let me just real quickly just say that the camera work during the like reflection montage. Yes, cliche. Yes, we've seen it 1,000 times, but I still dug it. I still looked at that composition and I thought to myself, okay, yeah, good job.
Sure.
You know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. If I directed this movie, it wouldn't have looked any better. They directed it better than I'd be able to. I'll be honest. So, okay, look at me, even more so than last week.
Holy crap!
Yeah, but I've been chugging this, and I have felt the water come down the side of my thing.
Same.
So, yeah, I'm about to go gross out my wife again. Damn, dude, I'm sweating more than I was last week.
Yeah.
Maybe because we talked about the movies for longer.
We
I'm not sure.
We did.
So, next week, the main one next time will be the Val Kilmer, Marlon Brando Island of Dr. Moreau. So, thanks once again to Jacob Matthew Crawford, Jeffrey Pontiac Spur, James Moyner. Be sure to subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/thecinemasnob. Subscribe to our channel as well and click the notification bell so you'll get your alerts whenever these premiere and you can hang out with us in the chat. And where can we find you at?
And follow me at twitch.tv/JerridFoils.
All right, cool. We'll see you next time.